Balloon Beats.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Unhinged Live. As usual, I'm your host, Patrick Hayes. You're joined tonight by the man, Derek from MYY Recaps. How we doing, Derek?
I've been better. How you doing?
Can't complain, despite the poverty game that took place today. But before we do address that, let's take a look at everybody in the chat. Take attendance. Shout out to Lori, Amy, Matt, Michael. Yankees remain the same quality name, especially for today. Matt, who else we got? We got James Hoffman. We got Yo Elvis, quality name, MYY Talks, Futai. Shout out to Futai. Hope everyone's doing well. Sorry if I missed anybody. Derek, today's game was not an ideal situation, especially to wrap up the series with the Blue Jays.
So I am NYY Recaps, I guess. And I just posted on my channel for people to come get the recap here. So do you mind if I just read my notes from today's game?
Go for it.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and just do the impromptu recap. I thought Herman was pretty sharp early, right? He had that nasty curveball in the first inning. But second inning, he looked like he lost the feel for it. And then he got it back, but he ran out of time. You know, his pitch count was getting too high. But Mike King, how about Mike King?
Honestly, like, I was not expecting that. When King came into the game, I kind of viewed that as like the Yankees like throwing in the towel. He pitched exceptional today. Like, you love to see that out of Michael King. And I know you're not like that high on him because I remember talking about this on the pitching preview. And like, he blew us both out of the water today.
Yeah, that's the best appearance of his entire career for sure. And it might end up being the best performance of his entire career. And I'll tell you what, he might have pitched himself to the alternate site because now you can't use him for a week.
I know.
So you might as well send him to the alternate site for 10 days, bring up an arm before the Orioles series.
Yeah, I would say he was one of the only bright spots of today's game.
Yeah, other one was Clint Frazier. I thought he looked really good in the outfield. He made a couple of smooth plays, nice throws. He also had that hustle double. I love the hustle out of this kid. I tweeted that he plays with his hair on fire, and he basically was responsible for the Yankees' only run because he got to third on his own.
Yes, great heads-up play by Clint. Love that.
Loved the small ball from your favorite player, Brett Gardner.
I mean, to be honest, like, he gets the RBI, but like, are we really crediting Brett Gardner with like an RBI ground out?
And I've got two more things. First, Judge is getting jammed a lot. I see him getting jammed, and the thing coming from the scouts this spring was that they were saying his swing looks a little bit long. Right?
Yeah.
Looks like you're freezing up a little bit. I hope I'm not freezing up.
Yeah, you look frozen on my screen. There you go.
Sorry. Okay. But he's definitely getting jammed. I don't know if his swing is actually longer, but he definitely is not turning on the pitch like we've seen him do in the past. Hopefully he can straighten it out. I know he's got a few hits, but he's not hitting like Judge usually hits. He's not turning on those inside half pitches at all.
Sure.
And then Aaron Hicks. How bad does Aaron Hicks look right now?
I mean, honestly, we could talk for an hour just about like how putrid. Like that's the only way to describe how Aaron Hicks has looked at the plate so far this season. I mean, he looks completely overmatched in every capacity of life right now. Like he walks up to the plate and he could be up on a 3-0 count and somehow Aaron Hicks will find a way to strike out. Like
So I'm seeing a lot in the chat, people saying get Hicks out of the 3 spot. Why is he even hitting third? And that's one of the takes. I just started jotting down after this series just some of the takes that I had that were hits and misses from preseason. And one of the misses I've had is that Aaron Hicks would be a good 3 spot hitter, but for this first series anyway, he's just looked awful. He's not looking like himself.
yeah.
He's swinging and missing way too much. He doesn't swing and miss that much usually when he's on. But it looks like he's trying to jack every pitch into the seats. Maybe he's a little hyped up because there's fans in the stands. But the way he's swinging, you just throw him a changeup that sinks low and away, and he's missing it by 6 inches every time.
It's crazy because like going into the season, I was so high on Hicks, and obviously he could still have a good year. Like we're 3 games in, but this is not what you want to see from him to start the year. Especially after like last season, we didn't really get much production out of him. But I mean, like Hicks is like that guy where we didn't really view him this season as like an offensive juggernaut. We just want him to get on base, right? And he's not even doing that. So I think that's the main issue here.
I will say this though, he's looked good in center field. He's made a couple of really nice plays in center field, and defense in center field especially is a big part of the game. But and you can carry Hicks if his defense is great and his offense is not, but you can't carry him in the 3 hole if he's not getting on base.
Yeah, I mean, based off today's performance, one of 2 things has to happen tomorrow. A, either you sit him for Talkman and give Talkman a shot out there, or B, you move him down in the lineup. I mean, because there's no way like he could still be batting third. It's just because the lineup right now, I viewed the lineup today, and we kind of talked about it on the pregame. Just something didn't look right today. This looked like one of those lineups that the Yankees throw out there in like the middle of June of 2019 when the entire team is injured. It just didn't seem right because top 2, you got DJ Judge, 2 guys like we kind of expect to produce. And then it goes to Hicks, a guy who's been struggling and can't hit like air out of a paper bag. And then after that, I believe, who was batting 4th today? Glaber?
No, it was, I thought it was Sanchez. No, was it?
I think it was Glaber.
Was it Glaber? Yeah.
Yeah, Glaber was 4th, and then Bruce was 5th. Bruce has been struggling. I mean, besides that bloop single yesterday, I mean, he hasn't really hit much. And then you got Gary 6, Frazier 7, Urshela 8, Gardner 9. I mean, for some reason, like this lineup just didn't make me feel like confident whatsoever going into today's game.
I liked Matt Needham's suggestion of putting Clint in number 3 tomorrow. He looks comfortable with the plate. He was fouling a couple of pitches right back, and that's something that hitters do a lot right before they're about to break out because their timing is starting to click in. To me, it's looked like the Yankees collectively, their timing is off. And part of it might be that, they had those 4 days off before they open the season. But, somebody's hitting. I mean, the Blue Jays don't seem to be having that much of an issue with it.
No, so, I know.
Yeah, I mean, I would consider putting Clint Frazier in the number 3 hole and then maybe putting Mike Tauchman out there in center tomorrow. He's got to get in the game anyway. So maybe you put him out there in center and bat him, in the 7 slot or something like that.
Listen, I would consider anything at this point, especially just because of how lifeless they look. It just seems like they can't put anything together. And Derek, I told you this before we started the stream. I mean, like this game, we only lost 3-1, but it felt like a 15-1 blowout loss. And that's after like Domingo Germán. We'll talk about him in a minute. How like he was started off high and then fell off. But I mean, with Michael King going 6 innings and only giving up 1 hit, like you would expect the Yankees to like be able to stay in the game, especially because I think what's the guy's name? Zoik came out after like 5, I believe. After 4, he came out. And then you're going against the Blue Jays bullpen for the final 5 innings of the game, which isn't good whatsoever. And they couldn't do anything.
There's that old saying in baseball, every team's going to win 50 games. Every team's going to lose 50 games. And then there's 62 games that are basically up for grabs. I felt like today was an up for grabs game because it was 3 runs. You get a great performance out of your bullpen. And that's a game we really should have won, and they just didn't capitalize. And that's going to come back and hurt them. They're going to have to win a few games like that in which the starter doesn't really give you a great performance. You've got to sometimes hit your way out of it if you're an offensive team. And it looked to me like they were just sitting back and waiting for that 3-run home run. Well, guess what? It's April. It's cold. The ball isn't flying like it typically would in June. your timing's a little bit off, maybe we should shorten up and try and make some things happen, do aggressive things on the bases like Clint Frazier, and maybe Aaron Hicks could, try laying a bunt down at this point rather than in spring training. I mean, I get you do it in spring training. It looks nice, but a game like today when you need base runners is when you do it.
Yeah, and I think it's very interesting because, like, looking at the chat right now, like, fans are obviously very upset. Like, especially before we started the stream, a bunch of comments, like, World Series canceled, like, the Yankees suck. Now, usually, like, to begin a season, if the Yankees are starting off cold, I like to say, like, everyone, like, everything's going to be fine. Like, just stop overreacting. But I don't necessarily think, like, fans being upset at how the Yankees are performing could be considered an overreaction, because it's not, because this is the team that we saw in the postseason last year. This is why the Yankees have yet to make it to the World Series with this core, because of the inconsistent offense, the lack of situational hitting, just not being able to produce when it counts. So I understand, like, why fans are frustrated that for the same season, this is essentially the same lineup that we've gone into the past few postseasons with, and they can't piece it together against the Toronto Blue Jays to start the year. So it's just not a good sign moving forward.
Yeah. So the way I look at it is other teams seem to get the big hits in the big spots. The Yankees, if they don't hit a home run, they don't seem to get very many, 2-out double with a guy on first that scores a runner from first. Even yesterday when they get the double with a guy on first, it's Urshela and he stops at third.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen sometimes, but I feel like the Yankees just don't get that big hit, and they just seem kind of content to, hit a soft ground ball into the shift, right?
Sure.
It's got a feeling like that 2015 team where Beltran and maybe it was Brian McCann. They were just, it might have been earlier than that. It might have been 2014. That team would just hit so many ground balls right into the shift. And I felt like every time Aaron Judge was coming up, he was just going to get jammed and hit a soft ground ball right into the martini glass defense and left. Or, every time that Hicks came up, he was either going to strike out trying to hit a home run or hit a soft ground ball somewhere. I want to see some actual baseball. I want to see it try and beat the shift. I want to see it, put down a bunt if you have to, steal a bag if you have to.
Yeah.
The highest energy the Yankees have had all weekend were Clint Frazier taking second today and then taking third, and Mike Tauchman stealing yesterday. That type of thing gets the team going. Do it early in the game. Don't wait around for the sixth inning trying to jump on the board with a 7-run inning thanks to 3 home runs. You're not going to win every game that way.
I agree. But shout out to Yo Elvis with a $5 super chat.
Yo Elvis,
legend. I love how you do it just like the sound effect on your stream. Perfect. If we don't win this year and struggle in the playoffs, it's time to change it up. We need contact hitters. Listen, I would kind of have to agree. If the Yankees can't seem to at least make the World Series this year with this core offense, it might be time to kind of switch things up and kind of move away from that home run or bust mentality, because this offseason, I kind of wanted them to go that route, but it was impossible because they have so many positions currently locked up. But if they can't put it together like this year, then it might have to be time. Like, is that wrong to say?
Can I just give you an anecdote about 1996 real quick? Because I know a lot of the folks on this chat probably weren't around, but the mid 90s were just a crazy home run time for baseball. 94 was crazy. 95 was crazy. 96 was going to be crazy. I mean, home runs were trending up. There was all this talk. Somebody's going to break the record. You got new teams joining. Ball is tightening. And in 96, the Yankees went the opposite way. They got away from that, what was the traditional approach at that point, which was trying to hit home runs. They brought in Joe Girardi, who was a contact hitting catcher. Look it up. I think he hit 292 with maybe 2 home runs that year. They got complementary hitters for the bench, guys like Andy Fox and Mike Aldretti. Look up those guys. They signed Tino Martinez, who wasn't a 50 home run guy. He was a 30 home run guy. I think he hit 25 in 96, but he hit 290 something. I know that batting average is frowned upon, and there's a lot of like these hyper intellectual stat guys who are going to tell me batting average doesn't matter. And they're going to say, it's a poor way to measure stats. But the thing about batting average is it means you're getting a lot of hits. You're moving runners. Things happen when you get hits. You move runners, you put the pitcher into the stretch. It's hard to tie a bunch of hits together these days because of all the heat, but maybe the Yankees need to go in the opposite approach of this home run or nothing thing that everybody's trying to do and everybody's trying to win with, and maybe do it like the Rays did it last year when they got really far by they've already got they're set up with the great bullpen, right? The Loaisiga's been great. Nelson looks great. Mike King today, maybe a breakout outing. They've got the pitching to get it done, I think. But you've got to be able to do more than hit ground balls into the shift or pop up. How many pop-ups did we see today?
It's ridiculous.
Wade Boggs popped up once in 1996.
It's unbelievable. I mean, to think about, because like you go back to 96, like obviously I wasn't even born then. So like I'm trying to go back to like a more recent team. I'm looking at like the 2015 Kansas City Royals. And I love the 2021 Royals, but like the 2015 Royals, when they beat the Mets in the World Series, they were a team that relied specifically on like situational hitting, putting the ball in play, pitching, and defense. Like they didn't need home run. Exactly. And if you look back at like past World Series winners recently, it's very tough to find a team that has like that boomer bust mentality, right? I mean, even the Dodgers, like they won last year with a ridiculous offense, but they had a lot of pure hitters in that lineup. I mean, Mookie Betts, like amazing hitter. Cody Bellinger, sure, he hits the home run, but he's still a great hitter. And then they plugged in guys like Kike Hernandez and Justin Turner and like just guys that put the ball in play. And looking at the Yankees lineup, it's just, I don't want to say they don't have that, but they're a lot less versatile. I mean, especially when you add Voit and Stanton back into that lineup. We just have a bunch of like right-handed sluggers. And I don't know if that wins you a World Series, but like, we've yet to see it. I can't remember last time a team won like that.
No, and also the right-handed heaviness. I mean, it's nice to see Jay Bruce in there, and he's had a couple of nice swings, but even he looks a little bit, old at times. You hate to say it, but he's had a few moments there where his swing has just been.
I would never assume he's 33. Never.
He just very late a few times, but he's had some good swings. But that's one of the reasons I miss Didi Gregorius. And Didi Gregorius was perfect for Yankee Stadium because he's a pull hitter that can use the left side and pick up a base hit. He's not going to try to drive the ball out of the ballpark to left field, but he would drive the ball the other way when he needed to. But if you pitched him inside, he put you in the second deck. He balanced the lineup out, and he was great defensively. I mean, look, you can't argue with them bringing in DJ LeMahieu and wanting to give him more time because he's the man. And what do you do with Gleyber Torres? Because he's obviously a very young, great talent. But Didi was so good for this team. And I feel like that's going to be a regrettable decision. And I think the Yankees are going to bring him back someday, but it'll be too late. He'll be 37 or 38, and he won't be what he was. That's what they do. They bring back guys they have great relationships with, but they let them go at the wrong time.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it's interesting because here we are like breaking down the Yankees lineup and just being like so negative about it, right? And all offseason, all we were talking about is the potential of this lineup. That's why when I said this offseason, that part of me likes the offseason better than the regular season just because like there's so much more anticipation and like positivity. Everyone called me crazy, but like here we are and like all we are is seeing like the negative aspects of the season. Meanwhile, in the offseason, we don't talk about stuff like this. But what I think is important now looking at is here we are breaking down the Yankees lineup, and it's the complete opposite of what usually happens because usually we're like criticizing the Yankees pitching and their lack of pitching. But this season, the pitching has looked fantastic so far. I would say the only guy that's gotten really roughed up so far was Domingo Germán today. Like after the first inning, he had nothing.
Yeah. Well, actually, I thought he settled back in. Second inning, he struggled with his command. I got to say, I gave somebody in your audience a freaking aneurysm with my Didi comment.
I could tell.
Start breaking the Zolofs in half, Mike Caputo. But seriously, I thought that Domingo's stuff was fine, but his location in the second inning was what got away from him. And that could be just a cold day. It could be just, he's amped up in the first inning and he's, just free and easy or whatever. In the second inning, he's trying to pitch and be a little bit too cute with it. I don't know. But I thought he did a nice job in the first inning and third inning, but the second inning, he had nothing.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate too because, I mean, I wasn't a big fan of Domingo Germán going to spring training. I thought that was Davy's spot to get. But, I mean, after his spring, like, what else could you say besides he earned it? And obviously, like, hopes were high. Obviously, you're the highest on him going into the season.
Yeah.
But I just, like I said,
and I'm still high on him, by the way.
You still think he's going to finish with like a
I don't know about 262. I might have overshot the moon for that. I was trying to go out on a limb and make a bold projection for Herman, get people amped up a little bit, get myself amped up a little bit. But I still think he's going to have a very nice season because the stuff is there. But as a pitcher, and anybody who's pitched in the past can tell you that sometimes you just lose the feel for things, right?
Sure.
Every pitcher has lost the touch on their fastball or their curveball. More times than not, Domingo Germán's going to give you a really good outing. I still believe that.
I mean, I guess, but also it's like, okay, looking at the Yankees rotation right now, he's the last guy I want to rely on, though. I think I trust all of the other 4 guys over him, just because of like, I don't trust the consistency of him.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing what Jordan Montgomery can do tomorrow. How much are you looking forward to that? He had a great spring.
I thought you were going to say Tyone because I'm a little bit more interested in what Tyone does, but like Montgomery too. Yeah.
So we get Montgomery and then Cole pitches again, and then it's Tyone because they're kind of slow walking Tyone. I think they wanted to give him one more, like a controlled bullpen to throw his amount of pitches, because I think a few times in spring he had some long innings, and coming back from Tommy John surgery, that's something you really want to ease guys in. And so it wouldn't surprise me if he's on kind of the Corey Kluber, 4 thing on, I guess it's probably going to be Wednesday night.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the Orioles, that's the other good thing, is that the Yankees are playing the Orioles, and the Yankees pretty much dominate the Orioles over the past couple of years. But you can't make the playoffs just beating the Orioles, right? So, you got to beat the Jays. You really need to win 2 out of 3, but I think the Yankees are probably going to take 3 in a row from the Orioles.
Listen, I hope so. But there is one aspect of today's game that I do want to discuss that we haven't touched on, and PJ King brings it up. It is a joke that Stan was resting today. I would imagine if Mike Francesa was still in the air, he would be going nuts tomorrow about this team. Sure. Now, when I first saw that Stan was out of the lineup today, I was like, okay, maybe he's hurt. Then I heard Boone's reasoning, and he said it's because he doesn't want to play guys 5 days in a row. Did he forget that the Yankees just had an off day on Friday? And Stan's only played 1 game in a row?
Well, that just means he's going to play all 3 in Baltimore. He didn't want him to play I guess he doesn't want to play 5 in a row. So if he had played today, then he would have played the entire, this weekend series and then all 3 against the Orioles. So I think their plan is to play him all 3 nights and probably give Judge a day off against the Orioles.
I get it, but Stanton could have played today. Right. Yeah. And if played yesterday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then they have off on Thursday. So that's 5 days. And then he would have an off day anyway. Right.
Yeah. He said he didn't want to play him 5 days in a row. So I'm guessing he wants to play him 4 days in a row.
This is so ridiculous that it's gotten to this point.
With the money they pay for Stanton, they've got him hooked up to electrodes and all shit. And then they know when he's about to break. And so they're like, you sit over there, G, It's like they have clocks in the clubhouse with countdown to next injury. Judge is a little bit further down. Like on The Simpsons where they have days without nuclear accident, and days without major catastrophic injury. Yeah, so look, I don't have a huge issue with Giancarlo sitting today. I thought he might have pinch hit in the 9th for Jay Bruce, even though it was a righty, if Torres had got on, because I like Giancarlo to run into one more than I like Jay Bruce to run into one.
Sure.
But Giancarlo's another guy who's looked late on the ball, but we know it's not like a bat speed thing with him. It's not, he crushes the ball in spring. I think it's a timing thing. I think he genuinely had his timing thrown off from those 4 days. And I think Judge might be a little bit of a different situation. I think the scouts might be a little bit right of him not turning on that inside pitch. And I think Hicks is a timing thing. Yeah. Hicks might be more than a timing thing. Hicks is a timing thing added onto a guy who's not really that good of a hitter anyway. So that means a probably prolonged slump. You're just hoping that he can, take some pitches and get on base against the Orioles. I think Judge is going to come out of it against the Orioles, and I think Stanton is going to come out of it here against the Orioles too.
I mean, fair enough. I was hoping that today was kind of the day where the Yankees broke out, just because yesterday they had a decent amount of momentum going into this game. The offense didn't look perfect yesterday, but I thought that they got themselves enough opportunities that they capitalized a little bit, that they were going to carry that into today, maybe a blowout, but they didn't. But based on the Yankees lineup right now and kind of how everyone is struggling besides Clint and a handful of others, would we say that we're most concerned about Hicks?
Yeah, I'd probably say Hicks looks the worst right now. But I don't think the walk skill is going to go away. I think he's probably still going to get on base at a pretty good clip this year. But, maybe the number 3 spot isn't right for him right now. I think he'll probably ultimately end up back there. But, yeah, just the swings he's having. But if I'm being completely honest, and I know Dan's going to get pissed at this, the guy I'm most concerned with is Aaron Judge because he's having a lot of trouble with that inside pitch. If you remember back in, I want to say it was 2018, he had that issue where he didn't pull a home run for like 4 months.
Yes.
And to me, this feels like that a little bit. And I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying it has that feel where he's getting jammed a lot. He was getting jammed a lot that year too. Now, we saw him just drill that ball. I think it was 114 miles an hour where he hit it right at the second baseman, almost took the guy's arm off. That ball almost left like a vapor trail into another dimension.
I know.
But that was a pitch that was outside. Mm-hmm. So right now, to me, Aaron Judge is looking for that pitch out over the plate a little bit, but he's still chasing inside, which is causing him to get jammed. If I'm Aaron Judge, I'm going up there a few times and I'm cheating a little bit on the fastball just to make them aware of, hey, I can still get to that inside pitch, but I got to do it right now because you don't want this to become a thing where they bust you inside for 4 months.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the key issue with this team right now. I don't want to say like the scouting reports have gotten out about these hitters, but like teams have been working this offseason. Like they've had a lot of time to do their homework. So listen, I think what's important to note though is you see how we're so like pessimistic about the lineup right now. The Yankees could go out and score 15 runs tomorrow, and everyone's going to be like World Series back on.
They're going to sweep the Orioles. I'm more concerned with right now their approach. They're going to beat the Orioles. The Orioles are not good. The Orioles did sweep the Red Sox, but the Yankees are going to come and just. I think they're going to murder the Orioles over the next few days.
They're still home, I think, right?
Yeah, they're at home. Yeah, I'm more worried about the Rays and the Jays again. If the Yankees hit like this against decent pitching, then they're going to have trouble with some of those guys. But I think they're going to murk the Orioles. But they need to collectively get it together a little bit, and maybe a series like this against the Orioles is exactly what you need at home against a team that's going to be entering the bottom half of their rotation. Maybe you can have a couple of days where you bat around a few times and guys get hot, and then you have a day off to rest up, but you're still feeling good, and then you continue on and by then somebody's probably going to get hurt. That's the way it's going to go.
Love the positivity, but I mean, it just sucks because like looking back at the series against the Blue Jays, the Yankees could easily be 3-0 right now, right? I mean, if they put a few extra hits together, these are 3 games that were easily winnable. I mean, even yesterday's game was easily blowoutable. Like the Yankees could have had 15 runs yesterday if they put together enough hits that they were supposed to. But I think especially opening day was a very winnable game. And so was today. They just couldn't seem to put the offense together against mediocre pitching. And that's the main issue because right now, like we've talked all offseason, the Blue Jays lineup we knew was going to be intimidating, but it was the Blue Jays pitching that kind of made us not view them as a threat in the American League East. But if we're going to struggle against pitching like that, it makes me very concerned, especially in the postseason, if we go up against like the White Sox rotation and have to go against like Giolito, Lynn, and Keuchel. Like that gives me absolutely no hope. If we can't beat Zoik, you know what I'm saying?
Well, Giolito's just the perfect monster that beats the Yankees. He's got that funky, weird arm motion. He's got a good curveball. The Yankees don't hit those 12-6 curveballs at all, and he's an extra high velocity guy. So, the Yankees want no part of Giolito, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how to fix it. They just got to get their timing together over the next few weeks and get on a roll. Anything can happen going into the playoffs. I mean, Giancarlo was so red hot last year. I mean, that could happen again. Judge could get red hot. One hot player can really win you a playoff series. The playoffs are kind of a crapshoot, but I'm more worried about getting there with the approach, against the Jays and the Rays of trying to pull everything. Just they need to fix it.
Yeah, and I think kind of what we need to remember moving forward, because the Yankees are going to get hot. Like everyone in the chat, please realize this. The Yankees are most likely still going to win the American League East. We're 3 games into the season. They don't look too good, but this is a very good regular season team. And I think that at one point they're going to cruise. Like, am I wrong for saying that?
I think they're going to cruise. Yeah, usually around, I'd say, Memorial Day.
Sure.
They go on like an 800 winning percentage, usually for about 2 months. And that's when they create some separation because, with a home run team, the ball flies a lot as the heat increases. I don't know the physics behind that. It just, it flies more in the summertime, and the Yankees tend to hit a lot of home runs in the summertime. But then you're faced with this April team again, and the Yankees generally who they are in October, a good feel for who they are in October is who they are the first week of the season, because how do you hit in cold weather after you've had a few days off to let your timing go away? Honestly, I don't think their offense was a major problem last season until the end of the series against the Rays. I mean, they beat the crap out of Bieber. They beat Carrasco and the Indians that day. I mean, anything can happen in the playoffs, but I'm a little pessimistic now about their approach.
Yeah, and I think like what it's important for people to realize when the Yankees get hot is like still keep in the back of your mind that this is also the same team when it can come to the playoffs. Like they might not be that red hot team because the consistency of the lineup just changes with the flip of a switch. I mean, we saw it in last year's postseason, right? Against the Indians, that lineup looked ridiculous. Like we looked like we were unstoppable, even after game 1 against the Rays too, you could say. And then after that, like they completely disappeared besides Giancarlo Stanton. In 2019, the same exact thing happened. The lineup looked unstoppable against Minnesota for the entire ALDS. Even the first game of the ALCS against Houston, lineup looked good. And then they completely disappeared after that. So I don't know if this is something like the Yankees front office doesn't realize, or they think that it's like something that analytics beats out. I don't know. But I think that it's evident the lineup is missing something. And I don't know if that's a piece that's going to be available at this year's trade deadline. But right now, looking at the Yankees lineup, something's missing. And I think it's like, I don't even know if there's a guy like this out here, but I'd love like a left-handed contact hitter. Give me like a left-handed DJ LeMahieu. And I thought Brantley would have been perfect, but obviously that didn't happen.
I've got the name for you, but to get him, you're going to have to lose Gleyber Torres, and that's Corey Seager. You're going to have to, I mean, if you sign Corey Seager, and again, next year, one, you'd have to give him a hell of a contract. But then what do you do with Gleyber Torres? I mean, you'd have to move him, but maybe, maybe you do. I mean, maybe because can we be honest about his defense? I mean, I know we're all optimistic and we cling to he didn't fuck up that one. He didn't fuck up that one.
It shouldn't be like that though.
He's not been good on defense, and his offense. Look, he had one big hit today, I think, right? He had a double. Yeah, but he hasn't really shown the power yet that he had in spring. So, let's give him some time. The Orioles are coming up, and that's kind of his oeuvre of work is mostly against the Orioles. So, we'll see how it goes. But, you might have to move him if you want to bring in somebody like Seager.
Yeah, I mean, moving forward, I can't say that I'm necessarily concerned about this team for the regular season, but like as we look forward to the postseason as Yankee fans, like we always do, because that's always the end goal. Yes, I'm still concerned about this team, particularly the offense, like we always are. But we'll get to there when we get there. But Derek, unless you have anything else to say about today's game, I think it's going to wrap things up.
No, I was going to do a recap, on my channel, but I think I'm just gonna sink into that couch and throw my feet up a little bit and enjoy the rest of my Easter. Thanks for having me on, Patrick.
It's one of those days, Derek. It's one of those days. Shout out to everybody who joined us for the post game in the chat. Tomorrow is a night game, I believe. So tomorrow will be live for the pregame around 6 o'clock. So stay tuned for that live on the channel. Video coming up on the channel tomorrow at 12 as usual. And we'll be around for the post game tomorrow night as well. You guys know the deal. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you do know when we go live before and after every Yankees game this season. If you guys don't already, go subscribe to Derek. He pumps out the best Yankees content on YouTube. You guys should already know that. But hope everyone has an awesome Easter. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe. Peace.